Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday call. Everybody on this call has a few things in common. One of those is we're all committed to turning technology into a competitive advantage. Everybody on this call has access to America's #1 mortgage app, the Total Cost Analysis, and everyone on this call is just dedicated to education. You know, what I try to do every Tuesday is bring in someone awesome, someone that we believe is super successful as an originator, or someone that just has the values of a mortgage coach. So for this month, we've had some amazing guests. Many of them have been loan officers. But today we have Mr. Todd Duncan, you know, one of my mentors, lifelong friends, and I think everybody in the mortgage industry knows Todd. Whether you've seen him speak, you know Todd well. So Todd, welcome to the call, my friend.
Dave, it's an honor to be with you and a joy to be back in the mortgage coach community. Look forward to our time together.
Well, it's been too long since I've had you on a Tuesday call, brother. We've got to make this regular again.
Well, you know, if the community remembers last year at Mastery, I announced to everybody that I had cancer, and the last year has been fully consumed with dealing with that head on, and I'm super happy to report that after a April 25th surgery, I am completely 100% cancer free and back in the game and feeling really, really, really good. So yeah, I missed hanging out with you guys, but priorities knocked, and I had to beat this, and now it's behind me, and I'm ready to play hard.
Well, congratulations, bro. Yeah. I'm really proud of you and excited about Sales Mastery coming up, and for now I'm just fired up about getting into the first time I've interviewed you in more than a year, so I'm looking forward to that. So couple thoughts. You know, one, Todd, I don't know if you realize this, but the interview you and I did with Ken DeLeon has been the most viewed call that I've done. So, you know, we've got a top 10 coaching calls. The #2 most viewed call was Simon Sinek, the interview I did with Simon. But check it out. You are, you know, you were part of the #1 call in the 8 years I've been doing these calls. So thanks for that contribution.
Hey, no worries. He's a good guy and a stud in the real estate business. Love Ken.
Yeah, no doubt. Great speaker, great story. Who also has a conquer cancer story as part of his story. So you know, if you have not listened to that interview, or I think I've interviewed Ken 3 times. Make sure you check it out. So folks, just a couple reminders. First week of the month, I interviewed Sam Hansen on leadership. Last week, I interviewed Aaron Crosley, and I was fortunate to have Josh Metal join me on that call. We really drilled down on how to partner with financial planners. Today is Todd Duncan. Next Tuesday, I'm interviewing a mentor of mine who, he's a guy that helps people sell B2B better, but really knows how to leverage email. So it should be a great call. And then we're closing out the month with Kelly Zitlow and Catherine Pedersen on how to turn education into your competitive advantage. Both of them do CE training for realtors, and we're gonna go through their playbook. So make sure you check out these calls. So Todd, let's get with today's call. I think before we get into let's go through the keynote and really share some best practices. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to and what's kind of led you to the presentation you're about ready to give?
For me, it got really simple, and we, over the last 2 decades, I've been super privileged and honored to be, playing a role in this industry to equip loan officers and leaders to be better. And part of what I made an early decision to do in 1992 was to interview high performers. And so I've interviewed just shy of 2,000 high performers in about 22 years. And I've always taken notes on what are the keys to their success, and what are the behaviors that winners just embrace to get extraordinary results. And when I was thinking about branding Sales Mastery this year, I was thinking, what is the most repetitive thing I hear from people when the question is asked around how to be successful? And the question kind of goes like this: if there was one thing that you could tell me that I would need to have to be successful beyond any other thing, what would that one thing be? And I thought about it for a couple of minutes, and I said, I think for me it all comes down to focus, and the idea behind focusing on key behaviors that have predictable results. And so what's been happening over the last several years as we brought mastery back and as we've taken that to the next level is, what are those behaviors? And behaviors are modelable. They're something that any person can adopt. Any of the behaviors that we'll go through today, and I've picked the top 7 in 22 years of interviewing that seem to be the ones that really change the trajectory of an LO's life and certainly a leader leading LOs. And those 7 behaviors, anybody on this call, anybody in the mortgage coach community can start to look at any of these behaviors and begin to adopt them into his or her life. And when those become kind of the DNA of your success profile and you tap into those and you have keys to unlock those behaviors and files every day in your head and then externally with your body and your actions, you're going to get results that are, that are extraordinary.
Love it. What a great conversation to be having.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I am going to share your desktop. So if you could share your desktop, kind of walk us through these thoughts. Let's make it a conversation. Also, folks, you guys, you know how I roll on these calls. I love to include the audience as much as possible. So if you have a question for Todd, please post those in the GoToWebinar question section. We will have time to answer those questions. And as I'm listening to Todd, I'll also be monitoring your questions, and I'll bring them in throughout the conversation. So myself and the mortgage coach community, let's have a conversation around these behaviors.
Yeah, love it. So it was interesting as I was thinking about presenting this for the first time. We have a client in Australia. They're Aussie Home Loans, and they are the biggest brokerage lender in Australia. And they wanted me to talk about what I see top producers doing, and they ironically had themed their conference BE, just simple BE. And so I grabbed their font and I grabbed their letters and really started to get focused in on the power of these 2 simple letters. And you can see that they are the first 2 letters in the word behaviors, right? And yet, if you yank out the 2 letters and you begin to unpack them, it's really about be everything. So it's a double entendre in sorts, in that the B and the E is be. You and I want to be something, and if we decide to be everything, we have the potential of being. The first 2 letters of those 2 words are also the word be, and you can play around with this any way you want. We can choose to be extraordinary, we can choose to be efficient, we can choose to be euphoric, we can choose to be exceptional, we can choose to be engaged. And it's interesting that so many of the actual words that are adjective, behavioral type words that most people in the commission world want all have that prefix of the word be. So the challenge for us is to, I think as human beings, is to look at what is a behavior, and a behavior is very straightforward. It's the aggregate of responses to internal and external stimuli. So everything that's happening in our world, be it on the job or off the job, doing loans or doing family or doing health, I mean, everything is driven by responses to these internal and external stimuli. So what I have found is that the people that are the highest performers are able to take any internal and external stimuli and quickly channel them through these 7 key behaviors and make decisions accordingly, so that each minute, hour, day of the week is more productive and more profitable and more fulfilling and more rewarding than not. And the sad thing is that the largest population of salespeople that aren't able to get that kind of leg up and go forward are the people that have not figured out how to respond to internal and external stimuli in a very positive way. So that's kind of the kickoff.
Love it. Love it. So again, some of this stuff is easier said than done, but let's keep rolling, unpack the ideas. And then I think, remember, Todd, on this call today, I would say probably 30 to 40% are just really super high achieving folks that are achieving it. And then at least 50% are folks that, they're struggling. They're missing their goals. So let's kind of keep that in mind as we go through these.
Yeah, so let me just hit that right now. So I'll say to everybody that's a high performer, that's, that's in your mind, you're at the top of your game. I will tell you that all 7 of these behaviors need to be owned by you, just like they need to be owned by somebody who's at the front end of their career or maybe has been struggling for years, because they are always organic. They're never dry cement. Their behaviors, by their pure definition, are always in play. So a high performer can have a greater failure than a low performer can have a failure, and that'll stimulate an internal-external response. And the high performer is going to have to tap into these behaviors in that sense, the same way that somebody new to the game would. I have to, Dave, you have to, running companies that transform lives. We have setbacks and we have setups. We have dreams and we have goals, and we're no different. Nobody on this call is any different from anybody else. You're in the commission-based world because you want to be successful. You want to be able to change lives, and as a result of that, you want to earn money. So at every stage of a business ecosystem, you have to have these behaviors in the front of your mind. Doesn't matter if you're the CEO or a brand new loan officer. So what's the first one? The first one that I would without question say for anybody on the call that has to do with any forward-thinking type of success commitment is this idea of being a believer. And I think that, again, for anybody that's a high performer who might be leading people who are not as high of a performer as you, the idea that as a leader you transform somebody's life by having them believe in what's possible, or as somebody that has traction, that has success, that's at a high level, him or herself, what are you consciously and continuously believing about the future? What are you believing about how you're going to go forward today? What are you believing about the future that you have in this business? What are you believing about what is possible from your real estate agents or from the businesses that you're involved in? If you're at a high level and you're doing $100 million a year, what are you believing about $200 million a year? What are your core beliefs? What's interesting is that the belief factor in my head is the gateway, Dave, to all the other ideas, because if we don't tap in to belief and what is possible, we will have year after year continually the same kind of performance. Let me show you a text that just came in Friday. So this text just came in last Friday. It's Tuesday. I just loaded this on the deck. This says, "Thank you, Todd. My entire team has now been through the High Trust Sales Academy. The last to go through was my sister, Cindy, who's averaged $1 to $1.5 million for the past 3 to 4 years. Just 90 days after attending the High Trust Sales Academy, she will fund, she'll fund $3.2 million in September. Incredible. Partnering with her on her ticket was the best investment ever. The before and after stories on our team are truly amazing, with their doubling and tripling their production after joining our team of A players only. Thanks for your help and your guidance." And what is happening in the world of belief is people need to have permission to play at a higher level. And to play at a higher level, they have to know that there is a higher level. And then to go to a higher level, they have to have enough input of what are the behaviors that get you there so that they can have confidence to go out and act. And so if you're a leader on the call, it is taking a look at every loan officer you have and what is their core belief window. What are they thinking about making sales calls? What are they thinking about partnering with agents? What are they thinking? Those behaviors in their head are going to set them up or set them back. So the job of the leader is to inspire the loan officer to understand that their belief should be large about what is possible, to tie what is possible to their deepest and most internal why, which we've been talking about for a quarter of a century, and get them to a point where they start to realize, okay, I'm not going to go from 1.5 million to 3.2 million just because somebody says I can. I'm going to go there because I believe it and I want it. Here's why I want it, and I'm going to be forever changed as a result. And so I called Cindy, and her story is amazing, but she didn't believe it was possible to go there, and then somebody changed her belief, and now she's there. So that's the power, Dave, of that one.
Well, first of all, I mean, I would like to add a little color to this one because it's It's so critical, and as someone who has been helping loan officers adopt new technologies and new best practices that I believe will make them more successful. And every mortgage coach loan officer that delivers a family to a total cost analysis, they believe it and they know it. But I mean, one of the biggest challenges I've always had is, it's getting new loan officers to do new things, to build new habits. And I mean, Simon Sinek does a great job with the power of why. But Todd, I mean, the slide you just showed, guys, and for all the folks on this call that are managers, what Todd just did is inspirational leadership. He shared a big idea. He then took some, a text that he got this week, recent, relevant, provided inspirational leadership, and he built the why with all of us. He connected with us emotionally about something intellectual. And so I guess I bring that up right now, Todd, because so many people on this call, it's not like they don't know what to do. They know what they should do. They know what to do. It's that they're not doing it. That you're not implementing the little best practices daily. So I would urge everybody on this call, if you're super successful and you're achieving all your goals, check it off the box. You nailed it. You have great beliefs. They're serving you well. But if you're not, really be honest with yourself about your belief system. Really analyze some of the things that you're not doing. And I'll bet you it all just comes down to either your belief, your why. In some ways they're synonymous. But Todd, that was huge. And I don't know if you want to add any more to that. Folks,
I do. You just brought up something that is super relevant for the entire mortgage coach community. This one behavior, guys, is the key to unlock the three things that every leader wants in their followers. If everybody had the highest belief possible, 100% of the borrowers that you talk with would have a total cost analysis, and it would be not even a question. You wouldn't even deal with it. It would be on autopilot, and boom. Here's the problem. There's three things, and they're never talked about. The only one of the three that's talked about is adoption. Okay, well, adoption is used the wrong way in this business. It's, if I have 100 people and 25 are doing TCAs, I have 25% adoption. No, adoption is belief. Adoption is, what do I believe about the tool? What do I believe about the technology? What do I believe about the process? Cindy had to ask, what do I believe about the high trust methodology? So adoption is a decision to accept a belief, right? So what I need to do is, if I have 100 people and only 1 in 4 are using something, it's not I need to build adoption. I need to build utilization. And the only way to build utilization is to build adoption. So adoption is the mindset, utilization is the external behavior, and then what you get is you get the success outcomes. And that's why people that use TCA so successfully and so intentionally, where it's become the fabric and DNA of their consultation, they marry high trust as an overlay on top of that. That's why they have such powerful results, because they adopt, they believe in the philosophy, they use as much as they can, as high a percentage as possible, and then they get the results. So it's important, I think, to understand this belief thing is huge. It is the leveler of complacency and average. If we don't inspire our people to understand the power of the tool and the system that we get behind as leaders, we don't get utilization. And utilization is where belief then is fueled. I do my first TCA and I go, wow, I should do that again. And I do it another time and I go, wow, I should do that again. Pretty soon I believe, and that has become a habit where now every single borrower consultation, I do 100% TCA.
I love it, Todd. And I love that you pulled out this slide and you showed this recent testimonial. For all the managers and leaders, doing this type of inspirational leadership, when you get an email from a realtor telling you how great you are, when you get something from a borrower saying, hey, how much they love your advice, whatever it is you're trying to build, share it. Share that inspirational leadership. And by the way, Todd, the way you shared it, I think you take it for granted. You're so good at this. Because I watch other leaders, they either, one, when they forward it, it's all scrambled. It's like this email that's forwarded. They have to concentrate. I mean, you package this well, you read it eloquently, you brought inspirational leadership to a big idea. So anyways, hopefully everybody got some value, and we're just getting started. Next one, Todd.
All right, so this is an interesting dynamic, okay? And so there is a truth behind the evolution of greatness, and you and I are built for a reason, and we have a destination that we are going to. And a couple hundred years ago, in the 1800s, 1823 to be exact, a guy was born. His name is Alfred Wallace, and Alfred was a botanist, and one of the things he did is he studied the evolution of the butterfly. And you can see a graphic on your screen that just shows the evolution of the butterfly being birthed and what it has to kind of go through to get to the point on the right where it is ready to fly. And what he did in several of his studies was he tried to accelerate the evolution of the butterfly and the time in which it would go from being completely surrounded in a cocoon to being out of that cocoon ready to fly. And the way he did that is he would take a very thin razor type knife, and at different stages he would put a slit in the cocoon, effectively allowing the cocoon to open up more quickly, the butterfly to emerge more rapidly. And the theory behind it was that he could get the butterfly out and ready to go much more quickly. Well, what he found out actually is, to use this picture as a metaphor, the further to the left he went and slit the cocoon, the higher the mortality rate was for the butterfly. And what he concluded through his research was that the butterfly on the far right is only the butterfly on the far right because it went through the 4 stages on the left. And what we do as loan officers, and what we do as leaders of loan officers, is we don't embrace the idea that struggle is part of the success behavior. The idea that a loan officer cannot be fast-tracked into success is a very, very important idea for a leader to get his or her head around. What ends up happening is that our loan officers that we try to accelerate, that we try to get to the field faster than not fast, that we try to encourage or try to promote and motivate to get out there and do it and do it and do it, it could very well be they're not ready. And because they're not ready, the struggle isn't something that they see as positive, it's something they see as negative, and it actually negates their performance. It gives you as a leader the opposite of what you're looking for. And so what has to happen in leadership is you have to develop a loan officer. You have to develop those skills. You have to let this evolution, whether it's a 4-week fast track program or it's a 6-month mentoring program. And by the way, any loan officer at any stage of his or her career is going to continue the evolution and the development. So whether I go from level 1 to level 2, at level 2, I'm going to have a new evolution. If I go from level 2 to level 3, at level 3, I'm going to have a new evolution. So the job of the leader is to equip the loan officer to succeed in the marketplace by not accelerating the struggle performance to get good. The loan officer that understands this is never going to take a reason why they don't achieve something and frame it the wrong way, which is most often an excuse. The loan officer that gets this is going to frame this in a way that this is part of the result that I'm achieving, and therefore then I embrace it. So you can have results, you can have excuses, but you can't have both. I've not found successful people that have on one hand results that are super great, and on the other hand excuses why they can't get better results. It really comes down to that kind of ideology behind struggle. And so we have to be, in our head, we have to get really organized around the thought that the greater the struggle, the greater the challenge, the stronger the headwind, the more room there might be for setback, generally speaking, the stronger the person will become, the stronger the product will become. You introduced me to Darren Hardy, Dave, and I'll forever be grateful for that introduction. But Darren did an interview with me in the October issue of 2013 Success Magazine. It was the first time that I went public with all the challenges and failures that I had had in about a 9-year period of time. If if you haven't listened to that, I can get the link to Dave and he can push that out and you could play it for your LOs. But it was the top interview to that point in time that Darren had ever done. It got more requests, and it was interesting. It was on failure. And so the idea behind embracing the struggle, the idea behind being okay that there is a future, I'm going to get stronger, I'm going to get better, I'm going to get faster, I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to get healthier. There is a future, but I cannot try to have both results and excuses at the same time. When you get this, here's something for the leaders. When you get this, your loan officers go to a next level. There's another text that came in from a guy named Matt. And Matt just said to me, hey, Chief, I made $37,000 serving tables in 2011. I made $40,000 in March. Ha, thank you very much. This is an LO who did not understand the power of belief and the power of struggle. And you think about it as a leader, if you can help your LOs achieve in a year in a month what they used to take a year to achieve, or if you can have an overarching philosophy, I'm just going to help people learn, grow, and get better so they can get faster results. To the top producer, you know, if you're working 12 months and you're funding $100 million and you think you're at the top of your game, the question is, what would happen if you could do that in 9 months or 8 months or 7 months or 6 months? So you reconcile belief and struggle, Dave, and it opens the floodgates for what is possible. But if you don't reconcile those, then you find yourself kind of spinning and not getting a lot of progress. So there's no, short of compliance and short of some of the boundaries on comp, there is no limit to what anybody can achieve in this business. So again, it gets back to organizing what are my behaviors around success, and these two are the start. The rest kind of fall into play as we roll along here, but this is monstrous. And think about, by the way, as a leader, think about followership. If it's out in the marketplace that you're able to do for an LO in a month what they used to take a whole year to do, in other words, who do you start to attract when you have that kind of performance? It's going to be monstrous for you. People are talking about you as a leader, and you have to answer the question, what are they saying? And you want people singing your praises in the marketplace that your leadership has indelibly transformed their life.
I love it. So I've been taking personal notes. I hope you are too. You know, I paraphrase what Todd just said, and the quote I had from Todd Duncan is, the greater the struggle, the stronger the person becomes. So if you are taking some notes yourself, you're getting some takeaways, some new Todd Duncan quotes, please share those in chat. Also, remember, everybody, would love to table some questions. So if you have some questions for Todd, I'll integrate them into the conversation. But I mean, that was powerful, Todd. I do think the only thing I would note, because you know, for the interviews I've had with the greats, it is the fact that not only, you know, that they really believe the greater the struggle, the stronger the person, and my best days are ahead. And I think sometimes people get caught up in that vacuum where they either lose belief in that or they start to create these glass ceilings. So I know we've got a lot more ideas to get to, but I also know that it happens. And so I don't know if that you speak to that in your next couple of slides, or whether you want to, you know, speak to that now.
Yeah, no, let me just hit the third behavior. So the third behavior is that all top performers have mastered the art of the rebound. And being a rebounder, if you will, is how you get past being a struggler, okay? And the idea behind rebounding is that winners have an automatic mechanism in their wiring that says, when I fall down, the faster I get up, the better my odds are for winning. That's as simple as I can make the rebounding analogy. And all I can really do to you know, indelibly put it in your head is take you to the Olympics. And just 3 days ago, Mohamed Farah fell on the men's 10,000 meter race at the Olympics. He went from 3rd place to 15th place on the fall. He got up, started running, and won the gold. And that's what rebounding is about. Rebounding is about understanding that in our life and in our business, if there's not a fall, if there's not a failure, if there's not something that is challenging us that is going to put right in front of our mind, how do we automatically get up and go? And I've just studied, and Dave, I know you've been doing this a long time, and as have I, and I will tell you that the difference maker for many people is how fast they get up. It's not so much shifting the strategy, it is how fast you get up. Mohammed is a gold medalist. He knows how to run. He doesn't have to question his belief in his ability to run. What he had to do in that moment is get up. Otherwise, the running skill wouldn't have been able to be deployed. And so that's what happens in our business. We end up wasting days and weeks because we don't know how to get up, and we don't know how to respond and rebound quickly enough. And I think that the behaviors that follow this one are the behaviors that set up how fast we get up and what our results actually look like. But these first three are all kind of head thoughts. They're kind of behavioral thoughts in the mind. And then the balance of these are, what are we doing in the marketplace behaviorally to win big? So I would just continue, let me just continue, Dave, to set this up. So here's the thought that I think is the big shift from believing and then understanding, struggling, and rebounding to now actually acting it out in the marketplace. So the one behavior that I know it's an external behavior around packaging. It's an external behavior around positioning. It's an external behavior about removing the competition and giving you, your brand, your team a leg up. And it's the behavior of be a disruptor. And over the years, Dave, and I know you've seen this, but over the years there's been, I think, an inordinate amount of time spent trying to differentiate. And I think differentiation is yesterday's news. I think today that the world is moving too fast, the noise is too loud, and you can't differentiate today. If you have fallen into the old school methodology of swipe and adapt, you're only getting as good as somebody who's already ahead of you. And yet, if you can embrace the idea of disruption, and you can tie that into your relationship with performance-based training, and you can tie that into your relationship with Mortgage Coach and Edge and the total cost analysis, and you can really powerfully understand this, it'll blow your mind. I have 26 people that are in my Masterclass Elite Coaching Program. These guys and gals are all at the top of their game. Some of them might even be on the call. And one of the things that we do is we answer the question, how can we be disruptive? How can we do things differently than anybody is doing them? How can we say things uniquely more than anybody else has thought about it to get a disruptive kind of anchor in the marketplace? And so we had a call on this about 3 months ago, and just the results that came out of that call immediately with what I'm about to give to you were super powerful. If you're a leader right now, what I want you to be doing is I want you to be thinking about your sales force. I want you to think about how many loan officers you have under your leadership, and I want you to be thinking about how many buyers they actually talk to and how many of those buyers apply for a loan and ultimately close, the age-old conversation of conversion. The next two behaviors are about you as a leader, and if you're not following a titled leader in your loan officer, you're leading your agents, you're leading your buyers, you are a leader. So pay attention to what this particular behavior is. So we have a new book coming out in September. It'll be out in 3 weeks, and it's called 5 Stars. And the subtitle is Building High Ratings and High Trust in the Digital Age. So this is a beautiful book that Deb and I wrote together. There's about 650 hours of research that went into the book. It's all about how do we build these kinds of ratings today. And let's just make it real simple. If a buyer on a conversation can rate the first conversation as 5 stars, there's a real chance that they're going to go ahead and convert, apply, and close with the loan officer and the lender. But if they don't rate that call as 5 stars, okay, then there's a real opportunity that they're going to think about their options and potentially go somewhere else. So in the book are chapters all about digital rate, the digital race, and you guys all know that Mortgage Coach is a technology company. You understand the power of technology in your business, and we have developments on the horizon with more digitization and technology, and even how to get a mortgage loan and all that. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that you will ever find a world in which technology and digitalization trump advice. I think that Dave and I agreed a long time ago that your greatest unique value proposition is the advice you give. But there's so much digital noise out there. There's so much marketing out there. There's so much shift in the way buyers are coming to conversations that you have to pay attention to this. So one of the chapters in the book is called story selling. And story selling is the #1 tool you guys need to own in conjunction with what you do with total cost analysis and edge, and you have got to hit this out of the freaking park by understanding the power of story selling. Mitch Joel says the brands that win are the brands that tell a great story. And so what we have to do is realize that in story selling, not telling, here's what we do. Too many loan officers are telling. They're telling their story. Instead, they should be selling their story and letting the story actually sell the results. So we have a high belief in the idea that story selling is the greatest disruptive force you can unleash in the market. Greatest disruptive force you can unleash in the market. And the short story on story selling goes like this. There is always a villain, and you and your LOs need to be the hero. There's always a villain. You and your LOs need to be the hero. And here's one way to do it. Most lenders don't blank, 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 blank. How I am different is blank, 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 blank. If you just write down the words that are on your screen right now, and you spend a week teaching your loan officers how to story sell the competition away and attract the buyer to a disruptive value proposition, that one decision right there for every loan officer, I believe, in America would get him one more loan a month, minimally. But we don't story sell. We let people who tell us they want to think about it, and we don't have a follow-up plan. We let people who tell us they're going to talk to a couple other lenders talk to a couple other lenders. We don't have a 7-second positioning hook, which is totally disruptive, which, by the way, is about as much time as you have today to create a rock star first impression. So what we need to do in a very eloquent way, most lenders don't spend the time to go deep into what your long and short-term financial and investment goals are, and even what your payment and equity and cash flow objectives are. How I am different is I meet with every one of my buyers. I spend between 30 and 45 quality minutes with them. I do a complete total cost analysis based on your long and short-term goals. I show you several different options of what can be achieved, and my ultimate goal is to help save you unnecessary expense, okay, and help you leverage your mortgage in a way that makes your life enjoyable. Boom. Whatever you want to say and however you want to say it, you are the hero, everybody else is the villain, and you have to package yourself in a way where this is very forthcoming and it happens immediately, and you're not putting anybody down. You're not using any names. You're genericizing a differentiation on how you are going to bring a value proposition that is much stronger, much larger. And when you marry TCA and high trust together, I believe it's unstoppable in the marketplace. So this behavior to be disruptive is monstrous. We could talk for days on this at Sales Mastery this year. We have 2 different sessions on disruption. But I think this is a huge, huge thing that everybody needs to get their head around, Dave.
Wow. So Todd, I'm going to have you go through the rest of these, but I want to come back to this one because it's such a cornerstone. Everyone, if you didn't notice, in chat, I posted a few questions, and one of them was, what is your 7-second first impression with a realtor and with a borrower? So what are you saying in that first 7 seconds to really set the stage, differentiate, and tee up story selling? And then I asked the second question, what is your 60-second story selling value proposition? So anybody who already has something, nailed, I do see a number of your customers, Todd, on here. I see Joe Detmer. I see a few other folks. So anybody who's willing to share and start the conversation around what does it sound like and how are you starting these these story selling conversations, please share them. But Todd, let's knock out, the last two of your big beliefs and these cornerstones to success. And then let's make sure we have time to tell everybody about Sales Mastery and go a little deeper on this one.
Beautiful. Okay. So again, all these behaviors are linked. They're progressive. Any one of them on their own can change the destiny of a human being. Collectively, they supercharge and turbocharge a person's effort. One that is most important in terms of performance is this idea of be a laser. So I mentioned Aussie Home Loans. My friend John Simon started that company. They fund $2 billion a month in Australia in home loans. They're the largest non-bank mortgage lender in the country, and $23.9 billion in home loans funded last year. And I was out on Sydney Harbor with John. My wife Deb and I were together with he and his wife and his nephew, who I've known for 20 years. Deb asked John's probably 68, 69 years old or so, and she asked John, if you could think back to one thing that has been catalytic in your success building the largest mortgage lending company in Australia, what would you take it back to? And John thought for a moment. He said in 1999, Todd told me that I needed to be a laser thinker. And it was really cool to hear him say that, and that was his claim. He said, I had to constantly remind myself, okay, for the better part of almost 20 years before he met me and then after he met me, to focus in. What I want to talk to the leaders about right now, I certainly want to talk to the LOs, but being mindful of our time, I want to move fairly quickly through this. Here's the idea. So Denise is one of our power students, and this is a very cool reality check for anybody who's leading. So Denise funded about $7.8 million in purchase loans in 2012, 34 units, and in 2014 she funded 152 loans. That's a 447% increase in 24 months. And I want everybody who's on the phone right now to be able to ask yourself, what would 100, a 200, a 300, a 400% increase in volume look like? If you're a manager right now and you have LOs that are kind of in the average, and you tie belief and you tie struggle and you coach to rebounding and you understand the power of what we've been going through here, and you get them equipped to believe what is possible, and then you pragmatically put them into some management, some time management, some batching, some 5-minute rule stuff, by 10 a.m. stuff, all the kind of things that you've heard throughout all the interviews that Dave does, but get them focused in on the richest part of where they can increase revenue, and it is doing the few things that create the greatest number of referrals. So I'm going to tie these two behaviors together. What Denise did is she shifted her prospecting time, she shifted her active selling time, and she shifted her admin time. So in 24 months, you can see that her active selling time went from 5%, and then 2 years later, it was 51%. She got an LOA, and you can see where the admin went. She took her prospecting down 2%, but look at the results she was able to get. And what that leads us to is it leads us to this idea of laser thinking on the biggest, most important decision you will ever make, and that's what Denise did, and it was the behavior to connect. And the behavior to connect was she was sitting here going the wrong way. She was trying to find a person who could refer her a buyer. And that was the mindset, and it's probably the mindset for most of the originators that are on this call, and we have a really tough time in this business understanding, for whatever reason, the absolute power of answering a key question. What is my and my team's referability factor? Okay, what is my referability factor? And when does it happen? How long do I have to be in relationship with a human being before the referability factor goes to the roof? And what Denise decided to do is, instead of finding a person who could help her find a person, she decided to find a person who could help her find 100. And that's this idea of being a connector. Being a connector has two relationships. It has the idea that I need to connect with you so that we can have deeper emotional conversation, and as a result of that, get higher performance and higher outcomes. But I also need to be a connector and find people who know the people I need to know. So what she did is she understood that emotional connection increases gross margins by 26% and sales by as much as 85%. Think about that. So the beautiful thing about a total cost analysis, the beautiful thing about layering high trust over that, is it deepens the connection. If you're a leader on this call and you want to watch conversion go up, the way conversion goes up is not by working harder with people, but by being more methodical about how you connect. Deeper questions, okay, personal questions, questions that have pain and joy behind them, questions that are outside of just getting a loan. Questions like that increase the emotional link. And when the link is large, people say yes. And all Denise did is she took our circle of cash flow and she started realizing, I've got to find the people that know 10 people, that know 20 people, that know 30 people, that know 40 people. And I'm telling you right now, anybody who knows anything that I believe in, this is the most powerful reason why you should nail the borrower conversation, and why TCA, and why Edge, and why helping people make smart strategic plans for their mortgage has to be your claim to fame, because that one decision will do more for your business than any other decision you'll make. Let's go back to disruption for a second. I would like to answer the question, Dave, on what is your 7-second. I would, if I were a loan officer today, I would say most lenders will help you with a rate quote and fees. I see myself as a home loan strategist. I can do all that, but I'd rather also integrate your loan into your goals, and that'll save you unnecessary hassle and money long term. If I'm going to be a home loan strategist, okay, that is disruptive. And if I have a borrower for whom I've created a home loan strategy, he can talk to 8, she can talk to 8 of their friends that are going to be borrowing. Did your lender create a home loan strategy for you? Most people are going to say, what is a home loan strategy? These are the things that make up the kind of ecosystem that you all want. And the final behavior, from my vantage point, that everybody needs to get their head around, and the reason why we're doing all this in the first place, is every one of these borrowers that you can see on your screen is a gateway to another business pillar, another business vertical. It can be a financial planner with 300 clients. It can be a, it can be a an estate planner. It can be a divorce attorney. These are all common things that most of you in the mortgage coach community know. But my observation in working deeply with people is this is not where the epicenter of their business is coming. In fact, one of the questions is, if you do a consultation really well as a loan officer with a borrower and you bring in high trust layering on top of TCAs and you connect in a way that you haven't connected with, there's no reason why that borrower between the application and closing could not refer you to one more person. But we don't set the stage for that. And one of the reasons why that doesn't happen is because we don't do a really good job on the last behavior. And the last behavior is to be an appreciator. To really understand that the consumer that you are working to develop a relationship with, most importantly, is somebody you should love. And I think that if you were to ask me what's trending today more than anything, it is falling in love with your clients. It is really understanding that you are impacting a family. I remember R.J. Crosby and I talking in our lead group, and when he said we shifted from loans in process to families' dreams that we're making come true, it shifted everything. When we went from a loan number to a heartbeat, it shifted everything. And when you think about delivering brilliant customer service, off the charts, kind of 5-star kind of performance, you have to be an appreciator. You have to fall in love with your clients. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is never break their heart. And if you can follow those two rules, tie all of these together, and understand that the greatest asset you will ever have in business is the asset of somebody who loves you, because you have first loved them, and you've slowed the conversation down long enough to connect at the heart level, so the head stuff kind of follows. If we can have people understand this, and that we can transform lives and create generational impact for human beings because of what we do for a living, that to me is the top behavior. This is what keeps people coming back. This is what keeps people referring you. You cannot stop courting after you get married. You have to continue to show the love in ways that are way beyond normalcy. I would ditch today. I would ditch most of our marketing. I would ditch most of our newsletters. I would ditch most of our auto programs. I would connect. Even if I ditched all of my print marketing and I simply called my tribe and I connected with them, that would be more powerful than anything I send to them via email or otherwise. So really test disruption. Test how you're loving your clients. Test how you are getting away from what everybody else is doing and doing something uniquely. And if you follow these 7 behaviors, guys and gals, I think it's lights out for you. So that's my story.
Wow. So Todd, I mean, I've interviewed you a number of times. This has been incredible. I mean, I think you really unpacked a lot for us to think about. I loved the closing thought around just appreciate people, connecting with people. I did an interview with a realtor, I think it was early this year, and he just talked about what he called so what marketing. You know, so many loan officers are sending me, you know, generic HTML emails, not telling me what I want, but telling me what they want to tell me. And so I think, you know, it is time to connect. It's time to appreciate. And I think it's time to turn marketing into a service. You know, when you can do something where it's marketing, it's selling, but really the customer perceives it as a service, I think that's something quite special. So let's do like just 3 minutes of just unpacking this call a little bit, and then let's close around, you know, mastery. I mean, I can't wait to get there myself. I want to make sure everybody knows what's new, what's happening. Kind of my recap, I wrote down: the greater the struggle, the stronger the person will become. I think that's so important. And, you know, there's people on this call that you are struggling and just believe that tomorrow can be better. I think the question that you asked, you know, it's not like, how can you be better? It was, how can you be a disruptor? And I wrote down this phrase because it's just a great way that we partner, Todd. We already do this so much, so often. But high trust story selling with Mortgage Coach, it is the greatest disruptor you can unleash into your market. I do believe that, and I know that many on the call also believe that, but I also know some of you don't. So, you know, what I'd like to do is just spend a minute trying to build some beliefs. I also want to give Todd uploaded his scripts. You know, he's created a number of Mortgage Coach scripts over the years. Those have been uploaded into the handouts. So Todd Duncan's total cost selling script and some other scripts that Todd has created for us. But I want everybody to think about it. And when you are delivering rates and fees, you know, that is the mortgage product. And right now, many of you guys are doing that with fee worksheets. And trust me, that's not story selling. That's called a transaction breakdown. But when you can deliver a mobile experience to a family, or when you're meeting with a realtor and you're explaining a strategy or you're telling a story, and when you can pull out your mobile phone and not only be telling the story, but showing the story, it's powerful. So most of you on this call, you already are doing this with every family. Some of you are doing it when you get pushed, you know, when the family really challenges you to bring your A game. Todd, what would you say to folks, you know, in a minute or two around, you know, should they be giving the total cost analysis to some families, or should they be giving it to every family? And just if you could build the why, and then let's transition to mastery.
Yeah, I just posted in the chat, would your story sell you? And I think it's a great question. And for my vantage point, I think that advice today is going to be a leveler of whether or not you're able to compete in a digital market. And so the sooner that you get to 100% total cost analysis as a goal and a deliverable, and rapid and heartfelt story selling, the better off you're going to be. Here's what I know. I know that 78% of Americans claim that financial stress is one of the top 3 stressors in their life. And what the mortgage coach power user has the opportunity to do is help that person. That's 8 out of 10 people that have financial challenges. You can help them through the technology, the story, the home loan strategy, managing that strategy, and being in touch with them by ditching all the marketing, ditching all the thinly shaped, ditching email, ditching all that stuff, and connecting. Doing quarterly, mortgage review updates is much more powerful than a quarterly newsletter. Doing the kinds of things that allow you to connect deeply and help meet people where they need you. People need help financially. I like what Joe Detmer said. He said, I don't look at it like that. I'm in the business of helping people see what debt-free home ownership looks like. And that doesn't mean he's mortgage adverse because he's a loan officer. What it does mean is that he's helping people figure out how to manage the mortgage the right way so that they ultimately can be financially free. What better value prop is there than that? So that's my answer.
Love it, Todd. So a couple of you asked about where can you learn more about Mortgage Coach. We've got a button right here at the top, demo, sign up for a demo. But Todd, let's transition to Sales Mastery. I mean, Sales Mastery is the place that I launched Mortgage Coach 19 years ago. It's almost 20 years now. I had the gift and the honor of telling my story and how I did business, and Mortgage Coach was a piece to that puzzle. And obviously that's turned into a pretty cool story. But you always do so many great things, and I know every year you're just dedicated to doing something new. It's like this year is going to be new. It is going to be special. It is going to be different. If you could just put some color around it. I mean, everybody has a link to your website. By the way, there is a Mortgage Coach discount for everybody. So there is a link as a Mortgage Coach member, how you can get a discount on Sales Mastery. That link was put in chat. But Todd, if you wouldn't mind providing some color, and I'll just click around and follow your lead.
Well, so first of all, thanks, Dave, for the endorsement, and it's been super fun to watch what's happened with Mortgage Coach as a result of our working together. And I remember all the way back when I first interviewed you, and you were a power loan officer, and so we've got rich history together. If you're listening to this, all Mastery is about is every year putting together a relevant, forward-thinking agenda that helps a loan officer learn, grow, and get better. If that's what you want to do, then you need to be at Sales Mastery. It was interesting yesterday, I was doing some research. The average car payment in America is $479 a month. And that asset that $479 buys depreciates 30% in the first 24 months. How about rechanneling into your own future? How about rechanneling into learning, growing, and getting better? And you are an appreciating asset. So what I love about this year's event is I've always been a big believer in get more out of less. There's not been a time in the history of Sales Mastery where I am more committed to a less is more agenda than this year. World-class outside speakers, world-class panelists, guys and gals that are on this phone, you're there. And what's happening this year is we're spending 4 days on one word, focus. And if you really think about it, that's what focus is. If you take that magnifying glass and you move it inside and out, you can channel energy and you can get powerful results. We're going to do that this year. So for 4 days, if you're familiar with the Mastery brand, we've got about 25 loan officers and leaders that are going to be on stage. We have 7 different panels built around the relevancy of 2017 and beyond, and how do you equip yourself for business then. We have a leadership interchange before Mastery starts, same day, but it's for leaders. And how do you grow LO production? How do you grow it to the highest level possible? We have some people that are going to be on stage with me whose average loan officer closings per year per LO exceed 200. How do you do that? How do you as a leader focus in? So hit the agenda, take a look at everything. You scroll over the agenda, you can get the details. It is discounted for Mortgage Coach, and it's a walk in the park for you guys to make a decision to be there. And I promise you it'll be an event you will not soon forget. And we do have a $200 discount because of our friendship with Dave and Mortgage Coach community, and love to have you there. I've got 2 special treats I can't tell anybody about, but they will blow your mind. They will be they'll be worth the price of admission.
Well, I can't wait to be there. So many friends, lifelong friends that I have that will be at that event, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, there will be hundreds of Mortgage Coach members. So folks, please, if you haven't already signed up with, I know many of you have, it's not too late. Get signed up today, save $200. Retail's $9.95 today. The Mortgage Coach member price is $7.95. We did put a link into chat, so if you've not already signed up, sign up. And then also remember, folks, book your hotel, get your reservation if you have not already. Those go quick if they're not already gone. So make sure you reserve your room, and I look forward to seeing so many friends and so many top producers there. So hey, Todd, you have knocked it out of the park, my brother. Everyone, if you would let us know what you thought of today's call. I have pushed a poll. If you want to learn more about Mortgage Coach and you are a guest, click the last option saying, I'd like to get a demo and learn more. But, you know, did we surpass your expectations? Did you get a couple takeaways? By the way, Todd, the polls are off the charts. We wowed a lot of folks today, so great job, my friend. Hey, Todd, as we close it, if you could do it in a minute or less, we've got a couple new loan officers on this call. And maybe you already answered the question and you just want to hit home and put the button on something you already said. But if you're brand new, you know, it's your first year or even first 6 months in the business, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I was a street fighter, and I was selling loans in a 19% environment, and I had to learn how to create value really, really fast. I was 23 years old, didn't have any experience, but I ran into somebody who gratefully became my mentor and said, if all you can do is focus on giving more than you are asking to receive, you can win in the marketplace. So I started thinking about what can I do to add, what can I do to add, what can I do to add, and I would receive. So I started packaging my value prop, helping realtors be successful. The interviews that we do, the interviews you do, Dave, if I'm an LO starting off and I want a purchase-centric business, I've got to have a great value conversation with a few of the right agents. I've got to figure out what they need in their life. I've got to, in our open source community and world, I've got to be able to find the answers to how I can give that to them. And if I can approach every sales call with the mindset that I have a life-changing idea and philosophy about how to do business with agents, then I won't have call reluctance. I'll have actually call excitement. So value is where it's at, differentiation. Doesn't matter how old you are, it matters what kind of value you create, whether you're 23, 32, or 53, or 68. It doesn't matter. It's your value in the marketplace is what wins you the day. So that's what I would say. And then I would say you got to really look at strategy. Don't keep doing things that aren't working. Don't change your goals, change your strategy. And if you can do that within a year, I funded $27 million my first year with an average loan amount of $72,000, and I did that only because I focused in on delivering value.
Love it. Great advice, folks. So reminder to all Mortgage Coach members, we are doing training every single day of the week. I think, especially coming out of this story selling conversation, our Wednesdays mobile conversations tomorrow at 11 Pacific, we're always doing a live workshop on how to use your mobile device as a mortgage coach. And I always say, tell stories and explain strategy. So come check out that call if you have not already signed up and if you've not already been through it. I want to remind everybody this call is recorded just like all our Tuesday interviews. It'll be uploaded by end of day in our YouTube channel. Highly recommend that you share this with people that you care about in the mortgage business. To me, this was an epic call. It's definitely going to get added to the plate. The best call, not only of 2016, Todd, we've got a call list for that, but I'm going to add this to one of our greatest calls of all time. I really think you crushed it, brother. So thank you, and folks, let us know what you want to hear more about from Todd Duncan. Todd and I are working hard to add more value together, align with how we help loan officers, how we help the C-suite help loan officers. So if you have some topics and some things that you'd like Todd and I to talk about in the future, just email me at Dave@Mortgage Coach. Todd, I don't know if you have an email or anything that you want to share, but I know you and I want to do better and we want to do more. So my email is Dave@Mortgage Coach, and Todd, you get the last word.
Mine is initial TD, touchdown, td@theduncangroup.com, and everything gets read and everything gets replied to. So anything you want to share with us, love to hear about it, and we're always thinking about what we teach next. So good. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate connecting with you today. It was wonderful to be with you.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic week. See you next Tuesday. Bye.